Right. Let's pray.
Thank you, Father, for this day that you have given each of us. We ask that you'll be with us as we make decisions for the county business. These blessings we ask in your name, we do pray. We say together, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Consideration for January minutes.
Andy,
Yes, sir.
did you check that first line? Did you correct that? Your spell check.
Oh, Brown?
Mr. Brown, yeah, Commissioner
Browner.
Browner.
Yes, sir, I'll make that change.
Happy fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a motion to approve with the correction.
I move they be accepted as presented with that minor correction.
Second.
Second motion, all in favor?
Aye.
So it is. Motion to open public hearing,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Strategic LLC.
Good morning. My name's Chad Wages, an engineer with Civil Link, here with a local office here in Canton. The engineering consultant for Makita, Madison County Economic Development Authority, and for Strategic Sites LLC. Makita and Strategic Sites are in a joint venture to proposing to construct a cell tower at the new mega site. It will be a monopole tower, not a guide tower, and they already have one carrier that tentatively with an agreement to go on the tower with the plan to the tower to be constructed in a manner to obviously add additional carriers. So the location of the tower is going to be adjacent to and just behind the new Entergy substation and their transmission tower. So from a visibility standpoint, you're going to have a 260-foot tower, a little bit taller, obviously, than the transmission, but it's all in the vicinity of existing transmission towers and our new elevated tank, which is approximately 178-foot elevation. So it will be tall, but we've put it somewhere where it just sort of blends in with all the other structures on the site. So Makita's board is, all on board with this. And so because the site's zoned industrial, we're asking for that conditional use for this location.
Any questions?
I have no question.
Any opposition? I'll entertain a motion.
Move the application for conditional use be approved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
So it is.
Thank you very much.
Dirt Dream LLC. I don't know how that's gonna go.
Good morning. I'm John Wallace. I'm the managing partner, I guess, in Dirt Dreams. We've got 65 acres of property out on Highway 17 that's intended to be developed into a lake and then maybe some cabins around the lake and so forth at some future time. But today what we're asking for is a permit start, and that is for 4 acres of that property on the upper end of where we propose to do that lake, to where we can start mining and disposing of the dirt. And with the lake itself, our intention is to not put a dam there and dam up and have a dam at the road, but to actually dig the lake out. We've done some tests as far as the soil is concerned, and even down in the valley where the lake will be, it's about 15 feet of good dirt as far as highway use and other use. And then there's a clay layer down below that, so it should make an excellent lake with a clay bottom. And then the development around that with lots and cabins at some future time. But right now, our goal is just to start with this 4-acre block and mine that, which has some excellent dirt on it too, that is actually already got almost a commitment from the highway department that they'd like to use that for the 5-county area because it compacts extremely well. Yeah. So our mission right now is just to start with that 4 acres.
So your intention is that once this 4 acres is done, you'll probably expand it?
Yes, that's right. But we'll have to apply again, for the other property. And then DEQ, of course, has to also approve that it's not wetlands or any other problem with it, so forth. So we've got an application in with DEQ right now for the 4 acres and don't see any problem with that. But it'll take a little longer to get them on board as far as the 15 to 20 acre lake that we plan to put on there.
Is this 4 acres that you're going to mine, is that going to be part of the lake?
Yes, it will.
You're going to end up digging a hole and filling it up with water?
It's the upper end of the drainage basin where the lake will be. What's amazing, about this 65 acres is it starts at a kind of small down at the highway, and then it's kind of in a bowl. It's very unusual, and from the bottom of where the lake would be, it's almost 65 feet up to where the peak is on this, where the drainage area starts.
Hard to see in that map. Okay. And your access out to the highway or a Hall Road?
County Road, Pat Cobb Road.
Pat Cobb.
Mm-hmm.
Out to 17?
Yes.
It would appear that there's an easement through the property. Is that a power line?
It's a pipeline,
Pipeline?
a natural gas pipeline.
Okay.
Been there since the 50s, I guess.
Wow.
In fact, I know it is because I lived in that area at the time when the pipeline was put in. And they even allowed the local people to put a meter on there and take gas off of the pipeline as it came through. It was kind of like an REA line, going through there.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, no further questions to me.
Any opposition? Entertain a motion.
I move we approve the application for
I'd second.
rezoning.
Been motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
So it is.
I'm sorry, who was the second on that? Mr. McKay?
Was I the second?
You want to be the second?
Second. Who made the motion?
Okay. Bill
Heard
did.
it, but I didn't know which way it's
Bill
coming.
made it. All right,
Thank you, sir.
All right, gentlemen.
all right. Minnie J. Bozeman family.
Mr. Chairman, before the petitioner and any discussion, I spoke with Mr. Espy last night, who's the board attorney for the Board of Supervisors here, and I asked him to come, if he would, and just give a little bit of background. This property, this subject property that is the subject of this petition is involved in numerous county projects like the widening of Bozeman Road, Reunion Phase 2. So I just asked him to give a brief history and overview of the property from the county standpoint before we even get to that part. I thought it might be helpful to kind of orient you guys as to where this is.
And thank you, Andy. Good morning, Board and Chairman. I'll be very brief, although I could speak on this for an hour. Madison County Board of Supervisors, we've got 3 large projects involving this petition. One is Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, all involving Bozeman Road, a bridge from Reunion across I-55 and on to Highway 51. So Phase 1 is widening of 463 at Bozeman Road. We were hindered from that because there was a lawsuit that the county won. We won in a big way. And so now you're going to see some action to widen the traffic congestion at Bozeman 463 going to the Reunion Crossing. At the Reunion Crossing starts Phase 2. Phase 2 is going to be a westerly road with a beautiful bridge that we've already received green light from MDOT to cross I-55. We received that. And we're going to build a road from Reunion Crossing across I-55. It's going to land at, on the east side, right at Phase 3, Parkway East area, right by D1. And then the board, Phase 3 begins a new road, completely new road from Parkway East on to Highway 51. Now, Phase 3 has already been let. We've let a contract for Phase 3, and you'll see work there beginning very soon. Phase 2, which involves this particular petition, is going to be let. We let this next month. We've got the petition from MDOT, and so what Phase 2 is going to be, as I said, is that road from Reunion Crossing, a bridge over I-55 to stop at Parkway East. Now, in order to make this area viable, there's got to be a ramp ingress, egress off of I-55, and that's what this concerns. So this particular petition concerns Mr. Skinner and the Bozeman Family Partnership, who owns land on the west side of I-55. And I've been personally involved with this for a couple of years. And we had to get right of way because MDOT said there couldn't be any cloud on the title, concerning the right of ways if we want to build ramps. That means the county had to own it completely. So I personally met with Mr. Skinner a couple of times, and we worked out a deal where he was extraordinarily generous, frankly, where he donated. It was sort of a negotiation. He didn't want to donate all of it because he's been fooled in the past by the county where he donated land. There was never any ramps, there was never any bridge. And so the county gave the land back to him that he had donated. So I told him in my office, I said, the only way this bridge won't happen is if Vladimir Putin bombs this county, Madison County. I believe it's going to happen because it's got 100% support of the Board of Supervisors. So what we decided to do was to appraise the acreage that we needed him to donate. And we filed a deed where all of it was donated to Madison County Board of Supervisors. So we have no cloud of title on the land. The deed has been filed. MDOT understands and everything is cool. But in order that we would have a partnership with him, he actually donated half of the land. So he donated half the land to Madison County. And so in good faith, Madison County wrote him a check for the remaining 50% value of the land. That lets him know we're not shucking and jiving this time. You know, we're going to join you in partnership to build these ramps and to build this bridge. And then the day that the cars are licensed and the day that we cut the ribbon on the ramps where the cars are able to, he is going to write us a check back that we gave him for the 50%. So that'll make it a complete value of 100% donation. So that's generous. So we're moving in accord with him. We believe that a bridge there is going to be very helpful to reduce traffic congestion, particularly between City of Madison and Gluckstadt. It's going to be a bridge that would ramp on and off. It's been designed, it's been planned. We know what it costs, and we've gotten half the money in our treasury, enough that we're confident that it's going to happen. We also know that Mr. Skinner can't wait for 2 years for something to be built. I mean, for the bridge and ramps to be built. He has commercial interest in this land that's zoned agricultural. And I told him personally, and the board confirmed, I don't say anything without authorization of my board, that we would do our best to rezone this land so he can begin planning for commercial projects, shopping center, office building, whatever. And also, in order to help him do that, we told him, and my board understands, that we made available to his engineer the contours, you know, where the road is going to be built, the elevations, the turns, so he can plan his curb cutouts. So if it's going to be a shopping center, he already knows what a curb cutout's going to be because he helped to choose them. And the board acquiesced, the board did that for him in cooperation with what we're trying to do today. So I believe what you're going to hear today is their effort to come before you to ask for this to be rezoned to commercial from agricultural. It's going to be a bridge. It's going to happen. And everything I said is for the improvement of citizens of Madison County. More revenue, more taxation, less traffic congestion. And the board already led phase 3, about to let phase 2. We won the trial on phase 1 and widened that. So we are green light all the way. Thank you.
Question? Go ahead, first.
You said it was zoned agriculture now, and
Yes.
notation on here says special use.
Yeah.
Its use is agricultural. That
That's
is
right.
a special
It
use
is
zoning.
agriculture now.
It's,
It's-
property can be zoned one thing, but actual use being another. I think that's the case here is, that's row crop from every
Yes.
time I go by there. I mean, it's full of deer and cotton and beans and everything else. But the actual zoning was from back in the 80s maybe, or maybe even before that, as SU1. I think there was some sort of a theme park or something planned
correct.
at that point, so, but that obviously never happened. So he's
It's been used as agricultural. And we,
factually correct, but technically, that's right.
yes, well, he's your lawyer. He's your lawyer, so whatever he said, I agree with that.
My question
Yes, sir.
is, has the Highway Department approved on and off ramps to this bridge?
Yes.
Are they going to construct them, or is our contractor going to construct them?
Ms. McKay, that's a great question. All right, they have given us a permit to cross over I-55. They've also considered in their MDOT plan, 3-year plan approval of these ramps. So it'll be their ramps, and so that means they will fund it. But I can't stand here today and tell you honestly that there's money in the MDOT budget for these ramps today. However, we work with the MDOT in this legislative session to get money for this project, which includes these ramps. Also, in order for the ramps to be wide and for the ramps to be constructed, I-55 in this particular area must be widened well, at least one lane on each side. That's also in their plans. But I've not seen appropriations for that yet. Although Mr. Simmons, who's a Central District High Commissioner, says it's the highest priority within his Central District MDOT for this to happen. So sometimes you got to move on faith. And we have faith with MDOT. We've seen it in their plans. We've met with Commissioner Simmons. He says it's going to happen. It's in their plans, and we believe it's going to happen. We have to find the revenue for it, and we're trying to do that. Last, I should say, on the east side of I-55, we have all the right-of-way except maybe a half an acre. Most of it's going to be another extraordinarily generous gift from the landowner, which is St. Dominic's. So St. Dominic's owns about 12 acres or so on the east side, and we asked them to donate it. So what we decided to do, because they had donated land to go to Phase 3 to Highway 51, they donated that. And you know, you donate, and sometimes you have to do other things. So Makita entered a deal with St. Dominic's to swap land. If you know Parkway East going north, you know Makita owns land. So Makita's board voted with the encouragement of my board to donate, to swap land. So St. Dominic's will get the Makita land and build something very nice, we believe. And then Makita will receive a deed to St. Dominic's land, including the right-of-way for the ramps. And we'll go ahead and do that. And we're waiting, St. Dominic's has approved it. We're waiting for their board to sign it, and then we file the deed. And then we'll be done, except for the golf suites or whatever the golf thing is there. Somewhere there's a golf, which we hadn't been with them yet, but they've only got about a half an acre. So I think we're ready to go. And the Board of Supervisors encourages you to approve the rezoning. I will say, I know there's a representative for City of Madison here today. I met with the mayor personally in her office and described this whole process to her. So I don't know what the representative will say, but she said she told me that she would approve it, and she understood there'll be some sort of commercial development in that land, and she told me she would support it. So, all right.
But
Yes, sir.
MDOT projects often run for long periods of time.
Yep.
How does this impact Mr. Skinner's 2-year plan? Is he gonna have to work the MDOT schedule?
I'll let Mr. Skinner and his lawyers answer that, but as far as our agreement is concerned, that's been filed.
Well, you made the point, is 2 years in his planning is critical. He's wants to do something within 2 years.
He'd rather have it tomorrow.
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But is he tied to MDOT's work?
If there aren't any ramps, there will be a bridge, okay? There's gonna be a bridge regardless. But the bridge doesn't really mean anything to the county even if there are no ramps to allow ingress and egress off I-55. So we believe that we're all gonna work that there'll be ramps. I'm told by the engineers it'll take 2 years to build the bridge. I can't stand to say there'll be ramps in 2 years with the MDOT's procedure, although they're certainly knowledgeable of our timetable. I would ask you to ask Mr. Skinner that, but we believe, my interpretation of me with Mr. Skinner is that he's gonna work with us. If it's 2.5 years or 3 years, we're gonna work to get ramps, because that's critical to this development. And we're gonna work to get ramps. That's all I can say as Spalding County, so.
That's good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Mr. President and Board of Planning Commission members, I just want to clarify something. When I met with Steve Smith and Richard Skinner on this, and Andy Clark was present also, this was back quite a while back, and I accepted their petition. when I put this on the website, when it was brought to my office, it had a receive date of 1/31/23. Now, I actually received this back in December. And instead of taking that down and corrected, I just left it up there and would advise you in this meeting of what happened.
Yeah, the 131 date was supplemental photographs, maps, and all that kind of stuff that's attached to the, I can attest to that too.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Steve Smith, and I am here today on behalf of the Minnie J. Bozeman Family Limited Partnership and Mr. Richard Skinner, who is the managing general partner. The property is currently zoned S1. It's about 350 acres. It's on both sides of what will be the Reunion Parkway extension. That extension will run from Bozeman Road to I-55, as Mr. Espy has described. Mr. Skinner's, the partnership property, like I said, is on both sides, north and south, and we're here today asking that it be rezoned to C2. We did timely send out the notices to all of the required property owners, and I have provided Mr. Weeks with those return receipts. We have attached to our petition a demonstrative map that our engineer prepared, and it shows in yellow outline where the property is in relation to where the extension will be. As Mr. Espy said, all of the right-of-way has been donated, and as soon as the county can get with MDOT, this road will be a reality. And you know, I think you're all probably aware that within the last couple of years, the county has acquired additional rights-of-way and moved utilities along Bozeman Road in anticipation of and planning for the Reunion extension from Bozeman to the highway. As Mr. Espy said, the road is fully funded, Reunion Extension Parkway. All of the right-of-way has been donated. New interchange has been approved. The property is designated today on the Madison County Land Use Plan as C2, which is exactly what we're asking you to rezone it to today. And the construction of Reunion Parkway extension is imminent. This also, I'd like for you to know that the extension of Reunion Parkway from Bozeman Road to I-55 is specifically set forth and contained in the county's 2019 Comprehensive Plan and Thoroughfares Plan. Most importantly, though, I think, like, as I stated earlier, the county has already made the designation of this property on its Comprehensive Land Use Plan as C2, which is exactly what we're asking this board to zone this property to today. The criteria we're going under today, and I have to make a record if you don't mind, is set forth in section 806.03B, which is that the character of the neighborhood has changed so as to justify the rezoning and that there is a public need. I don't think anybody in this room could sit here and say that there hasn't been an extraordinary amount of change in the character of the neighborhood in this area and in Central and South Madison County. I was here a couple of months ago on another rezoning dealing with residential. I'd like to point out, and we have this in paragraphs 8, 9, and 10 of our petition, that since 2021, and these figures come from Makita, there's been over 70 million in new construction permits issued, over 60 commercial permits issued since 2021. Makita records established that between 2017 and 2022, there were 18 new commercial developments started. Those developments are specifically listed in footnote number 1 on page 5 of our petition. Over 2,100 new jobs created, and over $1.2 billion invested in Madison County. Since the comprehensive plan was adopted in 2019, there have been 8 new subdivisions platted within a 3 or 4 mile radius of this property, and they're conservatively between 1,000 to 1,200 new subdivision lots that are under construction, under development, or ready for construction. And I don't think I have to tell this board, you know as well as I do, residential development drives commercial development. That's what we hear about today, commercial development. As I said, the residential and commercial development in this area between Madison and Gluckstadt, between I-55 and 463, is off the charts for the last 6-8 years. When you look at your 2020 census, in comparison to your 2020 census, you've got an increase in population of 14,000. That's 14.6%. The comprehensive plan suggests that between 2020 and 2030, there will be an increase in population of 18,000. And then between 2020 and 2040, there will be a total increase of 39,000 people. We think the need is obvious. The county has already designated the property as C2, which is all we're asking the board to do today. You know, the extension of the Reunion Parkway is going to be a 4-lane divided road, a major thoroughfare. And C2 is totally appropriate, and that's what the county has planned to do. As Mr. Espy alluded to, this Reunion Parkway will probably be the biggest traffic help to 463 and this entire area is anything, because all those people traveling on 463 now and the unbelievable amount of congestion will be able to take this Reunion Parkway to 55 and south, as opposed to having everybody go to Gluckstadt or come through Madison. So again, we think it's hand in glove. This property would be zone C2 and be located on this major thoroughfare. Last but not least, let me point out one thing. In the 2019 comprehensive plan, there are 6 things that the plan seeks to do. And I think this rezoning and the extension of the parkway, again, fits hand in glove with these principles. 1, improve transportation. This extension of Reunion Parkway will definitely do that. Number 2, improve public safety. It will do that. Number 3, encourage economic development, which is what the county has planned for in designating this land as C2. It will also prevent overcrowding. There will be additional land for additional commercial development as opposed to stacking people on top of each other. It will also facilitate adequate water, sewer, schools, parks, and other public facilities. And finally, it will promote a high quality of living. There are 2 other principles, though, listed in the comprehensive plan that were thoroughly evaluated in reaching those 6 goals. And those 2 things are this. The 2019 comprehensive plan is intended to prevent the inefficient development of land, i.e. the county says it should be C2. The second thing is that the comprehensive plan was designed to protect the community's natural and already built assets. In conclusion, our petition today seeks to rezone this approximately 350 acres to C2 as it is already designated on the county's land use plan. Again, all we're asking is for this commission to zone the property for what the county has already designated it for the use to be. And we'd be glad to answer any questions, and Mr. Skinner would be glad to answer any questions also. Thank you.
Opposition?
Should have brought my pen and paper. After Mr. Smith spoke, I have a lot of additional questions. My name is Jane Corey. I live at 119 Esplanade Court, which is in Belterre subdivision along Bozeman Road. The first question I guess I would like to ask is the notification to the affected landowners, property owners. Would we qualify that as being notified? Okay. I guess my concern is I have a realization if I were a landowner, county, municipality, we all have to have tax base. It's a business proposition. I completely understand that. However, it being a slam dunk is not exactly what I guess I would like to request that the board have some discernment over this and it not be something that is just decided in a one meeting situation. C2 is a commercial highway district as I understand it. Yes, the character of that area has certainly changed. I moved from Jackson. I'm used to convenience. I don't really want to be in necessarily a rural area. However, that being said, I do feel like there should be some consideration to the property owners nearby as to could we do some mixed use? Could we do some, combination therein? What happens at the exit ramp, I'm not as concerned about as I am what happens on the frontage of Bozeman and the corner where you turn. Currently, you see churches, you see schools. There's a huge difference in seeing a big box retailer or whatever the developer decides to put there. What we don't want to have happen, in my opinion, is it's zone C2 and it just becomes a free-for-all. I would like to say that is a nice area. Property values are probably higher there than in some other areas of Madison County or wherever. And so I would like to have the board to have some, maybe again, discernment over should this be a slam dunk just because it was on the 2019 proposed plan. Plans change. Keeping of character of areas should be a consideration so that something that board, landowners, whoever, developers can be proud of one day as not just the next big thing that's popped up. So with that being said, I know that the Belterre owners and Cherry Hills have reservations of this being zoned from one extreme to what I see as another extreme. I think it is definitely noteworthy that we should have some discernment over this and see what the developer might potentially want to use this for. Another thing that I heard in the prior argument was this could take years. So is the property going to develop before the exit ramps? And, think about how many shopping centers and how many things go up and economy changes, things change, and then we've just got empty buildings. So I would like to think that potentially the thought process could be a little bit longer than in this public hearing. And that's why we're here today. I'm here today, another property owner's here today. Others wanted to be here, but until someone drove by and saw a rather small, minuscule sign over off a dirt road, we were very unaware of it. And I apologize, or we would have been in your office a lot sooner asking for a little more information. Again, I'm not trying to stifle anyone's development or anyone's potential for the sale of property. I, however, just ask that the board consider the residents who have paid the property taxes and live there, that we are affected. And the traffic will be somewhat alleviated, but we will also be creating lots more traffic going across until there is exit ramps and everything. So again, I just prayerfully consider that, y'all would consider this and not vote today to make that drastic change to a C2.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of comments that may assist her answering some of her questions. My name's Andy Clark. I spoke with Michael last night. He told me you were going to be here. So this is property development think of it as a two-step process. This is step one, that you rezone to whatever it is that you're seeking. But the things that you're bringing up and that you're talking about, those would be handled by this commission and the Board of Supervisors as well through a master development plan. And in considering that would be exactly the things that you're talking about. They would look at excessive dissimilarities between already existing properties, views, scenic views. So like you're saying, next to the interstate, even on 350 acres, next to the interstate is certainly different than what's over on the Bozeman Road side. Mr. Skinner and his proposed developer are here, and they may want to speak to some of that. I don't know. I've met with them, talked to them, have seen some of the conceptual ideas that I think your concerns would be alleviated.
Well, I guess my concerns would be that it would be a C2 blanket zoning.
That is correct.
If you make it C2, it's a lot harder until we get the lawyers and everybody else involved to go backwards and say, hey, wait a minute, you made a C2 distinction. You know, maybe the distinction should be you look at the 350 acres and we carve out parcels that are specific to C2 and some are C1A, or some could be some combination of other things. I hear what you're saying, and I certainly understand. I have to be the devil's advocate for the other side, and I just don't see that as if what I'm hearing from two prior public things today pretty much passed, and there we go. So where do we go if you do that today and it's a C2, and we don't really have any other than hoping that what a developer tells us is what's going to come to fruition?
Well, there is, like I said, that is a two-step process. It is a blanket zoning, but what you can do within that zone is still at the discretion of this commission and the Board of Supervisors.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what the Board of Supervisors are elected to do, and what they appoint these guys to do is to look out for that type of stuff.
Right,
So,
and that's all I'm asking today, is that potentially you don't make it a blanket vote today at C2, and you consider, and any property owners, developers, we could all meet, have some questions answered on our end and that you might have, so that everybody can look back in 10 or 20 or 50 years and say, gosh, we did a really good zoning there, and the proposed is maybe what was proposed in 2019 could be amended, and we could adopt something that everybody could be proud of and make money, which is ultimately what we all want. So I appreciate you letting me speak, and hopefully if there's anything else that we can contact y'all and have some questions about, that is an open dialogue that we could have. So thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Michael Bentley. I'm at the law firm of Bradley Arant, and I'm here today on behalf of the City of Madison to object to this application. I recognize this is a little formal for a city to show up at a planning commission and express its objections, but that's how the process works, and I appreciate you hearing me this morning. The first thing I want to do is say that I'm not here, and the city is not here in any way to question the generosity of Mr. Skinner or the Bozeman Family Limited Partnership. But there are other interests at stake in relation to this particular property and the development that may occur on it. And I'm also not here to in any way impede or suggest that the strategic transportation development that is occurring is somehow not good or should be halted. Nothing about that is impacted at all by this rezoning petition. The strategic transportation development will occur no matter how this property is zoned. So, as you've heard this morning, the property right now is zoned SU1. It's currently agricultural, rural, undeveloped land. And in that zone, the permitted uses are educational institutions and retirement communities. The proposed rezoning to Highway Commercial 2 would have permitted uses as of right to include hotels and motels, bowling alleys, car dealerships, mechanic garages, and body shops. Those are uses as of right. Conditional uses, uses that you would be asked to approve, include everything from fireworks stands to billboards to RV parks to payday loan and check cashing businesses, pawn shops, tattoo parlors, and vape stores. Those would be conditional uses that folks would come to this board and ask you to approve. The question for this board is whether there has been an actual change in the character of the neighborhood, not a hypothetical, future, potential, speculative, an actual change in the character of the neighborhood such that rezoning is in the public need. And the applicant has to show this commission that by clear and convincing evidence that change has actually occurred. And importantly, the neighborhood is not Madison County or Gluckstadt or Madison City. The neighborhood is a specific inquiry about the immediate environs of this property. The immediate environs of this property are residential neighborhoods. You just heard from an owner. Bel Air, Belterre, Ingleside. These are the surrounding immediate environs that would be impacted by the rezoning. So the question again is whether there's been demonstrated by clear and convincing evidence an actual change in the character of this neighborhood. What I understand the presentation to be is one, a focus on the extension of the Reunion Parkway, which again is going to occur without regard to zoning. And the mere fact that a road will be built through property doesn't create the evidence that's needed to support rezoning. And then the second part of the argument is Madison County, happily, is undergoing significant growth and development. But all of the development and growth that was pointed to is miles away from this particular property. It's at a mega site 5 miles away where it should be, where it's appropriate. It's at a business park in Ridgeland, where it should be, miles away from this property. There's no evidence before this commission that any development in this immediate neighborhood has occurred that's inconsistent with the residential uses that are in the vicinity. So the city objects to this rezoning to highway commercial. Again, we don't think there's any evidence to support it in the petition or the presentation to you here this morning. And we don't think that the property should be rezoned at this time. And I'm happy to answer any questions on behalf of the city, and I very much appreciate you hearing me this morning.
Any question? Okay. Any other opposition?
Just a couple points. When the county adopted its comprehensive plan and designated this property to be C2, it knew full well what all of the uses were in C2. It wasn't kept a secret. Everybody knew. This extension of Reunion Parkway, which is a major thoroughfare, begs for this property to be zoned C2. And the property as it is now, again, I'll say, has been designated on the comprehensive plan as C2, which is all we're asking this commission to do. Rezone it from special use to what the county says and has planned for it to be used for. But 350 acres is a lot of property. That's a lot of neighborhood. That touches a lot of different land. So everything I said in my presentation is relevant and directly applicable in terms of neighborhood, location, and all the other properties that our property touches. Again, we simply ask that the commission rezone our property to C2, which is what the county has planned for it to be used for. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any comments from the commissioners?
350 acres is a lot of land for C2. I would have preferred to see that some of that land was designated as something that residential. There's a lot of land for commercial. There's a lot of land even for residential. Parcels, it could have been divided so that the C2 was along the highway that's going through there, the boulevard, with outer portions of it designated something less than C2, although the comprehensive plan may show it C2. I actually think it was too far-sighted for the comprehensive plan to show all of that area as C2 commercial. So that's my 2 cents.
I actually have no problem with it, and I listened to our attorney. Even if we approved it, every other area has to come before us to be voted on. I think it's going to be a big relief for the congestion and all. And we've been here before with other developments that turned out good. And so I'm in favor of it, but at this time we'll entertain a motion.
Dr. Rouser, before you do that, I just wanted to make one comment specifically to Ms. Corey, since I had addressed her. Like I said, 2-step process, and I just want to make sure that you understand that you will have an opportunity before this commission and the Board of Supervisors for any development plans or master development plans or any.
I'm sure you'll have more than me at the
Yes. I just wanted to.
My other question would just be, what about the drainage? I mean,
Ma'am, this is live streamed. I can't hear you, so if you would just come to the microphone.
one other question that I didn't ask earlier was about the drainage. You know, there's a flood plan, what's the correct term, that runs behind our subdivision, the 2 churches, this Magnolia Speech School. So this 350 acres, in terms, if you drive along Bozeman with any type of rainfall, it's horrific. So I would just also want to know what just with the soil and everything, as far as how that would affect, and less so us, because Belterre sits up higher, but I would think as it flows down into the other land there, that would just be something I would also like, maybe not at this stage, but at some stage with the developer.
That is part of the master development plan, construction plans. All of those types of things have to be addressed at that stage. So, go ahead.
I just directed that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you. You asked great questions. My answer does not involve this petition. I'm speaking about something else. The Board of Supervisors 3 years ago came up with a countywide master watershed mitigation plan. It sat on the shelf until last year. We put it off last year because money became available from the Biden administration through the Infrastructure Bipartisan Act. So we took it off the shelf. We approached the Washington for some sort of notice, green light of this watershed plan, and we've been very blessed. The county has already received $23.5 million from NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service, for watershed mitigation. So what's already going to happen, it's going to take about a year to plan it, but they took $4 million and put it in the plan for a mitigation plan. So there's going to be some sort of without going into a lot of detail, the topography of Madison County right at Ridgeland shifts. There's a ridge, and on the north side of the ridge, the water flows north. So it goes north from Gluckstadt, Madison, all of your home areas toward Canton. You know, the Upper Bear Creek and Little Bear Creek, they meet and they go onto the Big Black, and it floods all that area. So there's a plan already by Wagner Engineering. They've already hired the engineering firm, and they meet every week to come up with a plan to, and I don't know what's going to be, a big lake or widening of the streams, I don't know, but it's already underway. It's going to help drain the water away from these suburban communities. Then because they said, wow, that's not enough money, NRCS gave us another $1.6 million for planning. Then they said, we went back to them the third time, and they said, okay, we will green light review of something more grandiose that may be like $150 million. So now we've engaged City of Flora, City of Madison, City of Ridgeland, not yet Gluckstadt, all to come forward to talk about how to fuse all of these watershed mitigation procedures in their jurisdiction into one grand thing for about $150 million. And we're going to Washington next week to try to begin the process of getting that money. But we already got 23.5, 1.6, and now hopefully 150 million. So we know it floods. And it all floods all together, and they all go the same way. The water all, because of that ridge, on the south side of it, it goes back to Jackson. On the north side of it, it goes to the Big Black and floods all of this. So what you're talking about, the county's we already understand that, and we're in the process of planning how to solve it.
Any other comments? Entertain a motion.
I move we approve the application for rezoning.
I'll second.
Been moving properly second for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. So it is.
Steve, I've got your letter with the return receipts that I'm going to make an exhibit to these minutes. Michael, you are noted in the minutes appearing, as are you, Ms. Corey. Is there anything else anybody would like to have attached to the minutes today? Okay. Yeah.
Motion to close public hearing.
I so move.
Second.
Second. So it be. Motion to accept the March date meeting, the 9th.
So
I
moved.
move. Okay, I second it.
All in
Y'all
favor?
being awful quiet over there. Who moved and who seconded?
I second.
Bill moved.
Who moved?
I moved.
You moved?
My voice
All in
isn't
favor?
as loud as it used to be.
Aye.
So it is. Meeting adjourned.